G'day ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Draw with Jazza. I'm Jazza and this video is an in-depth review and look at the Wacom Cintiq Companion. This video was created to help out people who are very seriously considering getting this piece of equipment for their creative arsenal or for their own workflow or even gaming needs. Now if you want a bit of a condensed video and overview of the product, make sure to click the link on the screen or in the description to check out my quickie review of the product. But this video is going to take a long hard look at the Wacom Cintiq Companion so that you can decide for yourself whether the features and functions of it are fit for you. Now to begin with, I'm going to give you a bit of a table of content so you can skip between the various topics as you see fit. We're going to begin with a product overview, then we're going to talk about the design, the performance of the tablet, the accessories that the tablet comes with or that you can get to enhance your experience, any tips that you might want to get the best bang for your buck when you get this product, and the final verdict in my own experience and my opinion based on the things I've experienced and talked to others about in regards to the Wacom Cintiq Companion. Before I get started, I just want to preface with the fact that I'm not paid to create this video or this content. I am just a long-time fan of Wacom and its products. I got my first Wacom product when I was 15, which was just a simple pen display tablet, and I used that for about 8 years. About 2.5 years ago, I upgraded to a Wacom Cintiq 24 HD for my desktop, and my workflow has skyrocketed ever since, and it has been incredible. So to begin with, I'm going to give an overview of the general specifications of the Wacom Cintiq Companion. It has a multi-touch display in Full HD 1920 by 1080, which is a little over 13 inches. It has 2048 levels of pen pressure sensitivity on the pen tip and the eraser. Then on one side of the device, all neatly in a row, we have a few important things. First off, we have the power button. This is a very important feature of the device. Then we have an audio output. There are also two USB 3 inputs, the charger port for your power supply. There's also a mini display port and a mini SD card slot. Now we're going to talk about the product design. Wacom have aimed to produce and deliver something that is a very high tier creative tool, and they have done that with flying colors. From the moment you receive it, you get a very clear impression that this is serious business. It's incredibly well packaged and presented, the branding in the box, and then the fact that it comes with a pen case that's portable and durable, as well as a really soft but reliable tablet case itself, with things like the nice little touch of the really soft inside material and the magnets even in the lid that make it shut close without any effort at all. It is a very professional product. The aesthetic of the device isn't anything revolutionary. It's obviously almost identical visually to the desktop 13 HD Cintiq, but it's still sleek and professional and solid with a very durable case and a weight that when you hold it feels light, but it's got enough of a tangible solidity about it that you can feel like you're holding something worthwhile, that when you're working it's comfortable to maneuver into various positions and it rests without being heavy and without feeling like it's not there at all. I guess if I was to summarize my perspective on the design of the device and its features, I would put it simply that Wacom take it very seriously, and even to the point where they give you a selection, but I'm going to divide my look into the performance of the device into work, games, casual usage, and then battery life. Now the Cintiq Companion, when it comes to using it for work, does extremely well, especially considering its portability. Compared to all other devices I've used, including the Surface Pro, various laptops and other more casual tablets, none of them have come yet close to running things that I use personally like Flash and Photoshop and other high-end creative products in the way that the Cintiq Companion has so far. A question that a lot of people have is, does it feel natural to work on? That's a question that I had myself before I received it, but funnily enough, the day I received it, I actually had a deadline for a client 2 weeks later, and it was a bit of a crunch. When normally in the past I've had a bit of crunch time, I'll work 1 to 2 evenings a week in my studio to try and catch up. This isolates me from people in my personal life and from being comfortable, and it can be a stressful process. So it was a really, really nice experience to get acquainted with this device by having that take it all off my shoulders. I was quite simply able to sit on the couch in my living room with the pugs surrounding me and work on my client project while my wife watched TV shows in the background, and the work itself was easy to do. It was far less stressful, the software ran fine, and then most importantly, the finished result equated to that I would have done on my Wacom 24 HD. There was very little difference in the amount of time it would have taken to do it. The only difference might have been from the fact that it was a less familiar setup, and of course I was in a little more relaxed relaxed a position and mindset. So things might have been going just a little more casually or slower, but again, it's removing that stress. So while on holiday, if I feel like taking a break, but obviously can't take my computer with me. And I was delighted to find out that the tablet runs Dota 2 fine, along with some other games as well. There have been some games that don't run as well with the pen input, or that don't run very well simply because it's a very small device with a high-end mobile graphics card, but again, it's a mobile graphics card, so it's not going to do as much as your desktop PC is. But it ran Dota 2 fine, and I played South Park Stick of Truth on it, and that's a load of fun, and I can't wait to play that again when I'm doing some more traveling. So it's a very viable option to load Steam onto your Wacom Cintiq Companion and load on some of the games that you think it could run. As for the performance of the device when it comes to its casual use, it handles it as easily as you would expect any portable device. The fact is, most portable devices and tablets and laptops can do things like browse the internet and answer emails and use Facebook and various other apps, but it's important to note that it doesn't remove the casualness of these experiences because it's a professional device. It feels as familiar and comfortable for me using this device as it does using an iPad or a smartphone to check emails and browse Facebook and do small mindless tasks like that. Then finally we come to battery life. This is also a big question where I also expected myself, with having experienced other such devices, the battery life not be as good as it ended up being. You can easily, on a full charge, get a full day's work done on this device, so that's something really cool to keep in mind. Most of the times when I take it out somewhere to use for a small meeting or a job, I just make sure it's fully charged and leave the plug at home because it's another bulky thing that I actually don't need to bring, and the battery life has served to be completely fine. I haven't done rigorous enough testing to give you exact specifics as to how long it runs, the result of which meant that I had two USB hubs plugged into the USB ports, and I ran on the device 4 HD webcams, an external USB 3 monitor, an external audio interface running into a mixer with 4 lapel microphones, all of which while recording on XSplit Broadcaster. So it's extremely versatile, and I've yet to come across a peripheral that will not work on the device. As far as accessories for the device goes, it comes with a standard Wacom Pro pen, and that is in a pen case with 9 replacement nibs and a nib removal tool. Everything can be packed in the provided neoprene softline protective pouch, and as I mentioned previously, it comes with a stand with 3 different positions that it can rest on, and you can either remove it from the device once used or keep it connected to the device. Now, I've read on various other reviews that people have complained about the stand not feeling solid enough or durable enough, but in my experience, it is actually really cool. I think the feeling that they're referring to that I had at first is a sense of unfamiliarity as to, first of all, how it connects, and second of all, the fact that it's different from the other stands that we're used to from Wacom. The reality is they needed to make a stand that's very lightweight and doesn't add to the overall weight in an extensive way to the product, but it needed to be stable and it needed to be durable. I, for one, haven't taken the stand off the device at all. It doesn't feel weird or bulky or clunky on the device. It feels quite smooth and flat, and then every time I use it, once I get into position, which only takes me the best part of 5 seconds, I don't need to make any adjustments. It doesn't slip out of place at all. It doesn't feel uncomfortable or clunky. It's always been solid and reliable, and then I pack it straight back in flat against the device. So my personal perspective on the stand is that it's a great design and it does exactly what it's meant to do in exactly the way it's meant to do it. What it doesn't come with is the Bluetooth keyboard, and I bought this because I knew I'd need it, and I recommend you get it too. Yes, the device has some of the quick controls on it, but my personal experience is I never use them and I never have. I'm sure there are some uses that it could be really cool for, but with my work in animation and in Photoshop, there are so many different keyboard shortcuts that my hand has been very trained to use on my keyboard using the tablet every day that I do for work, that it was imperative for me to have a keyboard to use for these programs, and for games of course like Dota 2. So personally, I highly recommend, if you're going to get this tablet, get the Wacom Bluetooth keyboard. It's easy to set up, it fits perfectly in the front pouch carry case, and it's light and durable and well made. And finally, the best part about all the accessories is that they go neatly together like a hand in a glove. The way I personally like to carry everything around is with the device in the case, with the keyboard in the slot at the top of the neoprene carry case, and then I put the smudge guard that I wear on my my hand to reduce friction from my hand and the glass, stuffed into the small side of the pocket where the pen nibs fit into, and then the pen case into the larger side of that pocket. The end result of that is I have in one small packet something I can easily take to an outside source or a job. Then finally, I'm just going to share a few tips in regards to optimizing your device and getting the best performance out of it possible. The first thing is to update Windows as much as you possibly can, and this includes updating to Windows 8.1. So as soon as you've registered your device and your username and account and all that stuff, before you go installing a whole bunch of different software and files, make sure to first of all update all the Windows updates sequentially, and then go to the App Store and get Windows 8.1 as soon as you can. Normally, from my experience so far, it will show the need to update to Windows 8.1 after a little bit of time, and if you've installed all your software and something goes wrong, then you're going to have to install all of it again, and that's what happened to me. So really the largest issue I ever had with the tablet isn't the tablet, it was Windows. But in all fairness, Windows 8.1 does run like a dream on the tablet, and all 64-bit programs run remarkably better than the 32-bit counterparts. So before you get into that way, your Wacom drivers are up to date and it will run better, and that will resolve some of the potential issues you may have had with it in the future. The next thing you want to update are your graphics drivers, and this is especially important if you're using programs like Photoshop or Flash, or installing Steam or another client and playing games on it. To do this, swipe the right of the screen to bring up the search function, type in hardware and bring up the hardware options where you can see all the different hardware. Select the graphic device, the GPU, and find the update button, and it will search for updates to the graphic drivers, and then you're all done and good to go. Those are the main things that I've experienced and done to optimize the device to be as high functioning as possible. There are of course some other straightforward things that you can do to get the best bang for your buck. Things like making sure you don't have too many programs starting up once the device starts up. Also keeping your hard drives clean and not cluttered with too many things. Running files off an external hard drive is a good way to go about it, and just keeping only the necessary programs on the device itself. So that's pretty much everything I have to say in terms of optimizing the device and getting it running as good as possible. There are some people who have complained about some issues with their power supply in regards to their Wacom Cintiq Companion. I haven't personally had any issues myself, and you should probably get some advice from a Wacom support staff who can tell you how best to approach potential issues if you're having them or to avoid them. My advice would be keep it plugged into the power supply when you're charging, and then don't keep it plugged in at all times. Just charge it and then you're done and unplug it. That's the way I do it. Plug it in, charge it. Once it's charged, put the power supply away and just keep the tablet off until I use it or want to charge it again. So finally, all of that blah blah blah, we're here at the end of the video, and I'm going to share with you my personal verdict of the device. Okay, so let's talk turkey. Okay, sorry. Alright, so I'm going to be frank with you. Hi, my name's Frank. Okay, sorry. Kidding aside, I'm going to take you through the pros and potential cons of this device, and then share with you my final thoughts, and you can decide whether or not this device is something that is suited to you and your needs. Okay, so first and foremost, this thing is extremely portable, and that is just one of the top things about it. It's one of the first devices of its kind to cater so well to professionals in the creative industry who need that pen to tablet capability with such high sensitivity and with that sort of Wacom flair that they know how to pull off so well. The second thing is that it's extremely professional. The fact that it can run all the high-end Adobe products is a really big bonus for me, and it means that I can take my work on the road, and the end result of the work that I produce on it is as if I was to produce it in a studio anyway, so it really gives me a lot of versatility in my work setup. The Cintiq Companion also handles most things that I've thrown at it. There are very few things that have too much lag to be comfortable or that don't run at all when I've used it on the Cintiq Companion. So in general, it's been an extremely capable machine. Overall, it's an extremely comfortable device and well designed. I feel like when I pull out all the accessories I need to really knuckle down and get to work, I can get a setup that feels pretty stable, like I can sit at it for several hours and get some work done, and it's also the type of tablet that I can pull out and use for 15 to 20 minutes just of casual use. And then the final massive pro that I'll mention, of course there are others, but these are the main ones for me, is that it's a Wacom product, which means that that you have access to Wacom's support, which is, in my experience, absolutely fantastic, and I've had some experiences where I've needed Wacom support and they've always come through for me. Then the other bonuses, of course, is that they're constantly updating their hardware and there is a large community that uses its products. So you're going to have a lot of help available to you if you're either in any tricky situations or you're looking for advice. Now, the list of cons. These aren't strictly negative things about the product because they depend on what you're trying to get out of it. And the first big issue for a lot of people is the price point. Getting a hold of a standalone Wacom Cintiq Companion is gonna set you back between $2,000 and $2,000 get from the Wacom store on their website. You can also seek out a second-hand model, and of course, there's a possibility of a price drop as future iterations come along. But the point still remains, one of the biggest drawbacks of the device is the huge price point. I think Wacom personally knew who they were marketing to when they released it at this price point. Yes, it is quite financially out of reach, or at the very least, a very big stretch for most creative hobbyists. But for creative professionals who need the versatility in their work setup, it can be considered well worth the investment. And I know in my position, I'd take this over a laptop any day simply because of the versatility it gives me in producing work and taking it on the run. One of the other potential drawbacks is for people who don't enjoy Windows 8. I know I hadn't used it before and as such had had a negative experience at some point during its use, but have become used to it. So it's a little bit of an adjustment, and it's worth at least, I think, putting on this list for people who find it a little bit of a difficult point to get through. Then, as I mentioned previously, there are people who have had issues with the power supply, and as I mentioned before, I haven't had the issues, and if you are having issues or if you want to prepare against them, just seek out Wacom support and get a little bit of advice. The device comes with a standard warranty, so if you have some major issues and if it's early on, then you're bound to be looked after. And then finally, some people have issues with the stand, complaining that it feels a little bit too light and flimsy or cheap for the device that you're getting. This is a matter of personal preference, and I would also like to mention it also takes a bit of adjusting, but in my experience, when you get used to it just after a day or two's use, it's completely fine and comfortable to use. So that's just my opinion. I don't think it's an issue, but it's worth putting on the list because some people have an issue. My final verdict is that this is a fantastic device, but of course with the huge price point, you need to know that you're serious about getting what you're going to get out of the device. You don't want to stretch yourself too far financially for something that you could get out of just a simple desktop Wacom Cintiq or simply a laptop that you can take on the road with you. But for those who need the functionality and would benefit greatly from the versatility it provides, I highly recommend it. For any more information on Wacom products and this product in particular, make sure to click the link in the description to go check it out. Thanks for joining me, ladies and gentlemen, and until next time, I'll see you later. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, subscribe to my channel to see new content every week. Check out more of my stuff by clicking the annotations over there. If you want to support my work and get a few goodies for yourself, head over to my store for archives, ebooks, and get yourself something nice. If you're looking for a great place to collaborate, explore, or share your own content, head over to newgrounds.com. That's it for now, and until next time, see you later.